My name is Maria W. Ruiz, and I am 28 years old. My boyfriend casually said, "It's a boys-only trip. Don't be clingy." I went quiet. Later, I saw his photos on Instagram. His smiles were with someone else. I cut off all contact. 3 days later, I got a message from his best friend. "Do you even know what happened to your boyfriend?" I replied, "What?" I had been working as a logistics coordinator for a mid-sized shipping company in Dallas for the past 4 years. Decent money, stable hours, nothing glamorous. The kind of job where you solve other people's problems all day and come home too tired to deal with your own. I had been dating Caleb for 2 years. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue. He was a graphic designer, mostly freelance, with that creative energy that made everything feel a little more exciting. We were not perfect, but we were good. Or at least I thought we were. About 3 weeks ago, Caleb mentioned a trip. Boys' weekend in Austin. His college friends were getting together, something they did once a year. I didn't think much of it. I told him to have fun. I even offered to drive him to the airport. Then came that line. "It's a boys-only trip, don't be clingy." The way he said it felt off, like he was shutting down a conversation I was not even trying to start. I just nodded and let it go, but something sat heavy in my chest for the rest of that week. The days leading up to the trip were normal on the surface. We had dinner together Wednesday night. Thai takeout on the couch, some true crime documentary playing in the background. Caleb seemed distracted, checking his phone more than usual. When I asked if everything was okay, he smiled and said, "Yeah, just coordinating with the guys." Thursday night, I helped him pack. He was throwing clothes into his suitcase, trying on different shirts, asking my opinion. I remember sitting on the edge of our bed watching him hold up 2 jackets. "Which one?" "The navy one," I said. "You always look good in navy." He smiled, tossed it into the suitcase, then grabbed the black one too. "I'll bring both just in case." "In case of what?" He shrugged. "Different vibes for different places." I should have noticed how much he was overthinking the trip. Caleb was usually careless with packing, the type to forget socks and buy new ones at a gas station. This time, every shirt looked chosen for someone. Friday morning, he left. He kissed me at the door and told me he would text when he landed. Around noon, he sent, "Made it safe," with a red heart. Then nothing for hours. I was not the type to stalk social media. I trusted him. But that evening, I was scrolling through Instagram after work, just killing time, when his story popped up. First photo, Caleb and 3 guys at a rooftop bar, drinks in hand, city lights behind them. Normal, expected. Second photo, same group, but now there was a woman. Tall, stylish, dark hair, bright smile. Her arm was around Caleb's shoulders, and he was leaning into her, laughing at something. The kind of laugh I used to get. I stared at that photo for a full minute. Maybe she was someone's girlfriend. Maybe she was just part of the group. Maybe I was overreacting. I put my phone down and tried to watch TV, but I couldn't focus. Around 8, I texted my friend Jordan. "Is it weird if your boyfriend posts pictures with some random woman on a boys' trip?" Jordan called immediately. "What do you mean, random woman?" "I don't know. He's in Austin with his friends. And there's this woman in his story with her arm around him." "Did you ask him?" "Not yet. Ask him, Maria. Don't sit there spiraling." He was right. I texted Caleb. "Hey, having fun? Who's the woman in your story?" No response. By midnight, I checked again. New story, different bar. Same woman. This time, her hand was on his waist. They were taking a selfie together, both smiling at the camera. The caption said, "Reunited." Reunited. What the hell did that mean? I did not sleep that night. I kept checking my phone, waiting for a response that never came. At 3 a.m., I was lying in bed staring at the ceiling, running through every possible explanation. Maybe she was an ex. Maybe she was someone he had been talking to behind my back. Maybe I had been stupid this whole time. "Saturday afternoon," he finally replied. "Good, super busy. Talk later." That was it. No explanation, no warmth, no answer. I called him that evening. Straight to voicemail. Called again an hour later. Same thing. Sunday morning, he posted a photo from a breakfast spot. Outdoor seating. Pancakes and coffee. Caleb and that same woman sitting across from each other like a couple on vacation. The caption said, "Best weekend ever." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. He could not answer my calls, could not explain the photos, but he had time to post her. So I stopped. I didn't text. I didn't call. I blocked his number, blocked him on Instagram, blocked him everywhere. If he wanted to explain, he knew where I lived. I was not going to sit around begging for answers while he paraded another woman online. Sunday blurred. I cleaned the apartment, went to the gym, watched a movie I did not understand, and pretended my hands were not shaking. Jordan came over that evening with pizza and beer. "You really blocked him?" he asked. "Yes, that's extreme. Then he can come explain it to my face." Jordan didn't argue. He just handed me another beer. At the time, I thought I had protected myself. I had no idea I had just made the worst mistake of my life. Monday morning, I went back to work like nothing had happened. I answered emails, coordinated shipments, dealt with delayed containers and drivers who somehow thought delivery window meant whenever I feel spiritually ready. My coworker Sarah noticed immediately that something was off. "You good?" she asked during lunch. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." She looked at me for a second too long. "You look like you haven't slept in 3 days." Something like that. She didn't push, and I appreciated it. I was not ready to explain that I had blocked my boyfriend because of Instagram photos and captions that kept replaying in my head like evidence in a trial. The whole thing still felt unreal. Part of me was furious. Part of me felt hollow. And part of me, the part I did not want to listen to, kept whispering that maybe I had moved too fast. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe Jordan was right, and I should have asked one more time before shutting every door. But then I would remember, reunited. I would remember her hand on his waist. I would remember Caleb brushing me off with "super busy, talk later." And the anger would come back sharp enough to silence the doubt. Monday night, I was sitting on my couch with dinner untouched on the coffee table when I got a message request on Instagram from someone named Logan Pierce. I recognized the face from Caleb's old college photos, one of his best friends, the kind of guy who always looked like he was either about to tell a joke or apologize for one. The message said, "Do you even know what happened to your boyfriend?" I stared at it, confused and suddenly cold. I typed back, "What?" 3 dots appeared immediately. "This is Logan, Caleb's friend from college. We need to talk. Call me." He sent his number. I called before I could talk myself out of it. "Maria." His voice was shaky, rough, like he had not slept either. "Yeah, what's going on?" He exhaled. "Caleb is in the hospital." Everything in the room went quiet. "What?" "He got attacked Saturday night outside a club. Some guy tried to rob him. Caleb fought back, and the guy hit him hard. He has a concussion, a broken nose, bruised ribs. They kept him overnight for observation. He's still there." I could not move. My brain rejected the information first, then grabbed it all at once. Hospital, attacked, concussion, broken nose. "He's been asking for you," Logan continued. "He keeps saying your name, keeps asking why you won't answer. But when we tried to call you, it went straight to voicemail." "Did you block him?" My throat tightened. "Yes." "Why?" I closed my eyes. "Because I saw the photos. Caleb with that woman. All weekend. Her arms around him. The captions. It looked like he was cheating on me." Logan went silent. Then he said slowly, carefully, "Maria, that woman is his cousin. Valerie. She flew in from Phoenix as a surprise." I sat down hard on the couch. "What?" "She's his cousin," Logan repeated. "She's engaged. She's been with her fiancé, Daniel, for 6 years. Caleb hasn't seen her in person since before the pandemic. She surprised him Friday night at the hotel. He was excited because he wanted you to meet her eventually. He kept saying you two would get along." The room seemed to tilt. "No," I whispered. Not because I did not believe him, but because believing him meant facing what I had done. He thought it would be funny to surprise you when he got back, Logan said. He was planning this dinner thing, introducing you properly, making a whole big deal out of it. He didn't know you were spiraling. And then Saturday night happened. My stomach turned. He thinks you abandoned him, Logan said softly. He thinks you found out he was hurt and decided not to deal with it. He doesn't know you blocked him before anything happened. I pressed a hand over my mouth. I didn't know, I said. I blocked him Sunday morning. I didn't know. I figured. That's why I messaged you. He won't stop asking for you. And nobody knew what to tell him. Which hospital? Seton Medical Center, room 412. I grabbed my keys and was out the door in less than a minute. The drive to the hospital took 20 minutes, but it felt endless. Every red light felt personal. Every passing car felt too slow. I kept replaying everything. The photos, the captions, the unanswered texts, the way I had blocked him with shaking hands and called it self-respect. Valerie was his cousin, engaged, a surprise. And Caleb had been lying in a hospital bed asking for me while I sat at home, congratulating myself for walking away. I parked badly, ran through the entrance, and reached the front desk breathless. Visiting hours were technically over, but I told the nurse I was family. She looked at me, then her screen. You're Maria? Yes? Her expression softened just enough to hurt. He's been asking about you. Room 412. Down the hall, take a left. The hallway was too bright and too quiet, filled with the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant beep of machines. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I knocked softly on the door and pushed it open. Caleb was lying in bed, his face bruised and swollen, a bandage across his nose, one eye purple and half shut. There was an IV in his arm, monitors beside him, a paper cup of water on the tray. He turned his head slowly. When he saw me, his face crumpled. Maria, he whispered. I walked to the chair beside his bed and sat down because my knees felt weak. I'm here, I said. His good eye filled with tears. You blocked me, he said. You left me. The words split something open in me. I thought you were cheating, I said, my voice breaking. I saw the photos with Valerie. I didn't know she was your cousin. I didn't know anything. He stared at me like he was trying to decide whether that made it better or worse. You thought I would do that to you? I didn't know what to think. You were distant all weekend. You barely answered me. Then I saw you with her over and over. Captions like reunited and best weekend ever. And I panicked. I was trying to surprise you, he said, tears sliding down the side of his face. Valerie wanted to meet you. I was going to bring her over next weekend. I thought you'd be happy. I covered my face with both hands. I'm so sorry. You didn't even ask, he whispered. You just cut me off like I meant nothing. I know. I got jumped Saturday night, he said, voice going flat in that way people speak when they're trying not to fall apart. This guy came out of nowhere outside the club, grabbed my wallet, tried to take my phone. I fought him because my phone had everything. You, work, my photos. He hit me and I went down. Logan and Valerie scared him off, but I kept asking for my phone. I kept saying I needed to call you. He swallowed hard. And when they tried, it went straight to voicemail. I reached for his hand carefully. It was cold. I never stopped loving you, I said. I got scared and stupid, and I made the worst possible choice. I'm sorry, Caleb. I'm so sorry. He let me hold his hand, but his fingers barely moved around mine. You hurt me, he said. Not just by blocking me, by assuming the worst before asking me the truth. I know. For a while, neither of us spoke. The monitor beeped softly. Somewhere down the hall, a nurse laughed quietly at something. Life kept moving while I sat beside the man I almost lost because I had let fear pretend to be instinct. Finally, Caleb said, I don't know if I can do this. My chest tightened. Us? And if every time something looks wrong, you shut me out instead of talking to me, I can't live like that. I won't, I said quickly. I swear I won't. I'll ask, I'll talk. I'll never do this again. He looked at me for a long time. If you ever pull something like this again, he said, voice weak but steady, we're done. No second chances. I understand. I mean it, Maria. I know. He closed his good eye, exhausted. I should let you sleep, I whispered. His grip tightened slightly. No, he said. Stay, please. So I stayed. Caleb stayed in the hospital for 2 more days. I took time off work and stayed with him as much as they allowed. I brought him real food when he got tired of hospital meals. I read to him when looking at screens made his headaches worse. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we just sat there with the television muted and the room filled with the small mechanical sounds of recovery. Those 2 days were the hardest kind of quiet. Not angry, not dramatic, just honest. We talked about trust, about communication, about the way fear can dress itself up as certainty when you are already hurt. I told him I had seen the photos and instantly built a whole story in my head, one where I was being betrayed, embarrassed, replaced. He listened without interrupting, but I could see the pain in his face. You could have asked me, he said. I know. You could have called Logan. You could have waited until I came home. You could have done anything except disappear. I know, I said again, because there was no defense that would not sound like an excuse. He told me about Valerie, how she had been like a sister to him growing up, even though technically she was his cousin. How she moved to Phoenix after college, got engaged to Daniel, and had been planning for months to surprise him in Austin. Caleb had wanted me to meet her because, in his words, you're both terrifyingly honest, and I thought you'd either become best friends or start a debate club. That made me laugh, then cry. He showed me the messages between them once his phone was returned. Valerie joking about finally meeting the famous Maria. Caleb telling her to be on her best behavior. Valerie sending a photo of Daniel rolling his eyes because he could not come on the trip. It was all there. Harmless, warm, family. And I had turned it into betrayal without asking one question. On Wednesday afternoon, Caleb introduced me to Valerie over FaceTime from his hospital bed. She had dark hair, tired eyes, and the kind of protective expression that told me she had already decided I was on probation. So, she said, you're the woman who broke my cousin's heart because of a caption. I winced. That would be me. Caleb muttered, Val. No, he deserves to hear it, she said, then caught herself and gave a small apologetic smile. Sorry, you deserve to hear it. He was excited about you, Maria. Annoyingly excited. He would not shut up about you. I'm sorry, I said. I know that doesn't fix it. No, it doesn't, Valerie said. But it's a start. Then Daniel appeared on the screen from behind her and waved. For the record, I can confirm she is very engaged and very annoying. Valerie shoved him out of frame, and Caleb laughed, then winced because laughing hurt his ribs. For a second, the room felt almost normal. The man who attacked Caleb was arrested 3 days later. Security footage from a nearby building caught him clearly. Apparently, he had been targeting people outside clubs for weeks. Caleb had to give a statement to the police, and Valerie stayed with him through most of it, because she had seen the attack happen. I sat beside him afterward while he stared at the wall, jaw tight, pretending not to shake. He was stronger than I had given him credit for. That Friday, after he was released, we did the dinner he had originally planned, though quieter and softer than he imagined. I cooked pasta and salad at my apartment. Valerie brought wine. Daniel joined over video call from Phoenix, propped up on my dining table between the salt shaker and a bowl of garlic bread. Valerie told embarrassing stories about Caleb in college, including one about him trying to impress a bartender by pretending to understand jazz. Caleb threatened to mute her even though she was physically sitting in the room. I laughed more than I expected to, but underneath the warmth was the truth neither of us ignored. I had almost lost him, not because of Valerie, not because of Instagram, because I had let insecurity become a judge, jury, and executioner. It has been about 6 weeks now. Caleb's bruises are gone. His nose healed straight. The headaches finally stopped last week. Physically, he looks like himself again. Emotionally, we are still repairing what I broke. He has made it clear that I am on thin ice. One more stunt like that, and we are done. I do not blame him. I deleted Instagram from my phone 2 weeks ago. Not because Caleb asked me to, but because I realized how much I let it feed the worst parts of my imagination. A caption is not a conversation. A photo is not proof. Silence is not always guilt. Sometimes silence is just bad timing, bad signal, or a person lying in a hospital bed asking why you vanished. I started therapy too. I needed to understand why I ran so quickly to the worst possible conclusion. Why I protected myself by cutting first and asking later. My therapist said something that stayed with me. Fear can feel like wisdom when you have been hurt before. She was right. But fear is not wisdom. Not by itself. Caleb and I are planning a trip next month. Somewhere quiet. Colorado maybe, or New Mexico. He says he wants to see if we can rebuild what I almost destroyed. I am going to spend every day proving that we can. Valerie and I text now, which still feels strange but good. She sends me memes and occasionally reminds me, use your words, Ruiz, whenever I overthink something. Daniel invited Caleb and me to Phoenix in the spring. Caleb says that means I officially survived cousin court. Last week, Caleb and I were lying in bed, talking about nothing. The kind of conversation that only happens when the lights are low and nobody is performing. I'm glad you came to the hospital, he said. Of course I came. You could have stayed away. I turned toward him. I should have been there before anyone had to call me. He looked at me for a long moment. Just don't forget I'm worth asking before you decide I'm guilty. You are, I said. You're worth the question. You're worth the conversation. You're worth everything. He smiled a little, tired but real. Good, he said, because there won't be another chance after this. There won't need to be, and I meant it. I am done running from things I do not understand. I am done letting fear make my decisions and calling it self-respect. Whatever comes next, I am facing it head-on with him, the way I should have from the start, because love is not proven by never feeling afraid. It is proven by what you do before fear decides for you.